Hey, what's going on tonight, guys? How are you all doing? So what I want to talk about today is, and you can see it in the title, it's my ASIN got suspended, and I want to talk about why, which is so crazy. Let's talk about Amazon today. Let's talk about uh, let's get into it. Let's talk about a lot of things here. So first and foremost, yeah, my ASIN got suspended. Um, like my money making ASIN, like the one I was building my whole brand around, got suspended. And let's talk about why it got suspended. Apparently, and this can happen to you, so we're going to talk about Amazon, and I want to tell you all the truth about being an Amazon seller. And the simple fact is, you are just a pawn. You're not even a pawn. You're like a flea on the pawn that is Amazon. They don't care about you as a seller. They don't care if you're something's done incorrectly towards your account. Amazon does not care about your business. They don't care. So you need to stop putting all your eggs in one basket, and you need to think about other forms of income if you're planning on retiring, or not retiring, but becoming an Amazon seller, a multi-million dollar Amazon seller. The opportunity is definitely there. There's no question. Amazon is one out of every two online sales. It's a massive opportunity. There's no doubt about it. I'm not denying that. I don't think anybody could deny that. Amazon is massive. They tend to treat their customers right. Um, but the missing piece, in my opinion, is they don't treat their sellers. Um, they don't treat their sellers fairly in so many instances, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about that today. I wonder if Bezos, when he was first starting his company, I bet he had no idea how big, how massive it would get. Just how huge it would become, and I'm sure he's completely disconnected from what I'm talking about right now. I understand customers are your number one priority. There's no question of that. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. You can't sell to anybody. So they come first and foremost. I understand eating the cost on some things when customers aren't happy. There's certain things you've got to accept as an Amazon seller that I've accepted. Some people will just be unreasonable. You treat them nice, you say please and thank you, and if you lose 40, 50 bucks, then you lose money. Sometimes that's going to happen. It's part of doing business as an e-commerce seller. I'm okay with that. It's always going to be the case. I'm not suggesting Amazon changes everything around for a seller to make it so it's hard for the customer to get a return or hard for the customer to get anything done. I'm not suggesting that Amazon changes those policies. They want to be customer friendly. That's where all the business comes from. Jeff Bezos understands that, and that's why it's been so unbelievably successful, because customer service is number one priority. I worked in customer service over the phone for over 10 years. I trained people. I've worked in the industry. I understand the industry. I understand what good customer service is. Here's where the disconnect is, and here's where you all need to think about. If you're planning on making Amazon your full-time job, before you do that, let me talk to you about some of the things that will happen. Not if, but it's just a matter of when something will happen to your account. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about my ratings and my rankings on my product. So the product that gets suspended has over 40, actually probably closer to 50, has good ratings. I mean, I'm talking like over 4.5 stars. So it's not a bad product. Are you going to have some bad products within that from time and again, like maybe a defect? Sure, that's part of it, and I take full responsibility for that if my manufacturer screws that up. I don't have any problem with that. My customer service rating has been outstanding, 100%. I always respond to customers. I always treat them nice. I always treat them properly. I do the right things. I think I do. And what do I get for it as a seller? Well, my ASIN gets suspended. And why? It wasn't because of a bad rating. It wasn't because of my bad customer service, because those things are all good. Thousands of units sold, lots of happy customers. And again, I acknowledge there's always going to be a defect here and there. I'm willing to accept that and take care of that. I got my ASIN suspended because of an inauthenticity claim by a customer or maybe a competitor. You just don't know. So my ASIN, which has great reviews, which has my customer service has 100%, I get suspended because somebody somewhere out there claims inauthentic on my item. Now let's talk about what that means, inauthenticity. It doesn't necessarily mean, see, when people talk about private label, let's discuss this, because you may be under the impression that if you private label, and I want to make this very clear to everybody, if you private label, you put your own logo on it, you stamp your logo on it, you send it over from China to Amazon or wherever you're buying it from, and that's your product, right? That's your brand. Wrong. It doesn't belong to you. You know why? Because until you trademark it or register it, it doesn't mean a thing. Anybody can jump on there and anybody can sell your product, especially if they can find the same product. And here's the crazier part that Amazon doesn't do anything about, which baffles my mind. I understand they're a behemoth, but they're making billions of dollars. They need to do a better job with this, in my opinion, because it hurts sellers. Sellers are being hurt in so many different ways, and I don't want to harp on that. Again, it's a great opportunity. I'm thankful for the opportunity, but there's just some things within Amazon that just, if you look at the forums, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's so many unfair things, and you're talking people have to hire lawyers, they have to be perfect. I'm going to get into that. So let's continue down the path here. So I got an inauthentic claim. Inauthentic means, from my understanding, is that it could just mean that the way you described your item does not match up with what they think is there, or it doesn't match, the product doesn't match the description, or it could mean like a counterfeit item, but obviously it's not counterfeit because it's my item, right? But I talked about the brand. It doesn't mean a thing. It's not your brand until you trademark it. Until you register it with Amazon, it's not your brand. And it's not easy to do. The killer part is I have the logo trademarked with the USPTO in the middle of getting trademarked. Excuse me, it's not trademarked yet. But it takes months. It's not something that happens overnight. And it's not something I would want to go trademark before. You have to sell it before you can even trademark it. You have to show that you're selling it. So I have been. It's been successful. I decided to get it trademarked, but it's not something that happens overnight. It takes many months to get that done. But Amazon, they don't care. They're not going to care. And I'm not saying this just as a bitter message to Amazon. I'm saying this to you, the listener. Once you guys understand that it's Amazon's playground, they can kick you out anytime they want. They can do whatever they want. They can kick you off for any reason. You could have the best customer service in the world, and they can still suspend your account for just one thing. And it might be completely false. It might be a competitor just out there to get you. Amazon does not care. They don't care. They don't care about your business. They don't care if you have a great, response. Amazon does not care. They will move on without you. They'll find somebody will replace you in a second. They're a machine, and they're going to move on without you. So if you think for a second that you matter to Amazon, that if you spend $1,000 a week on advertising on a product like I did, like that matters to them, it doesn't matter. They're making billions. They don't care. Does it matter that you responded with everything they asked for, all the invoices? Nope, because somebody somewhere looked at that and said, I don't even want to look through this. I don't want to look at any of it. They're not detailed enough, or maybe, their email's different than what they have on the account. Oh, must not be theirs, or I'm not going to bother looking at it. Denied. Or the email for your suppliers different on the invoice. Oh, must not be, I can't verify your supplier. Denied. So it's crazy. That's simply how it goes a lot of times. Somebody somewhere looks at it. Well, nope, I don't feel like looking through this. Denied. So let's talk about some of the things. I don't want to just be a bitter message. let's talk about some of the things you can actually do. And here's something you need to start thinking about right now if you're going to sell on Amazon. First off, have a lawyer ready to go. What I mean by that is they know how to write responses. They know how to get it done. I tried twice. I got denied. I thought I was pretty detailed. I sent in everything they asked me for. Again, if the email's off, if the address is wrong, if something's off by just one little inkling, they can deny you. They can deny you just because they feel like denying you. There's no good reason sometimes why they deny you. So you could put everything you think they asked you for, and they'll still deny you. And I've had this problem before. This isn't the first time. And again, it's not a matter of if. If you sell on Amazon, it's a matter of when. Whether it's an IP claim, whether it's a trademark claim, whether it's an inauthenticity claim, it's going to get you eventually, and you got to be prepared for that because it'll hit you out of the blue like a ton of bricks, and you're going to be sitting there wondering what the heck, and you're going to respond like I did, thinking, oh, this shouldn't be an issue. I've done everything right. I'm doing everything correctly. Granted, sometimes you get it for a good reason because you broke policy. But other times you get it because there is no good reason. I'll give you an example. My friend Andy, he has 8 items bought. 8. By a competitor, I'm sure. They damaged all 8 of his items. They returned the items. Not only did he get dinged for that, his product, they have something in there. I don't know if anybody is aware of. Now, I'm not sure if this will go live anytime soon or if ever. It's in beta. Look under your Seller Central account. It's called Voice of the Customer. And look where your product is under Voice of the Customer. His ranking was so bad in Voice of the Customer because this one person bought 8 of his items, damaged them all, and returned them, that he had like a 12.3, I think it's called NCX. That means his product would be immediately removed. No questions asked. What would he have to do at that point? Try to write a response, which they probably wouldn't accept because that's usually how it goes, unless you have a ton of experience writing those things. And he'd probably have to get a lawyer, pay God knows how much to respond to that. And it's not right. It's not right by the sellers. And this stuff happens all the time. You have competitors doing black hat tactics out there to destroy other competitors, and they're getting away with it, and they're winning the war. And I feel like Amazon, with them, you're guilty until proven innocent. They don't care how good your ratings are. They don't care how good your customer service are. They're not even going to ask you. They suspend first, and then they ask questions later. You know, if actually, that's not even necessarily correct. They suspend first, and you send them what they ask for, and then they probably won't. You'll have one little dot not in the right place, and they'll probably, say, hey, tough. Like, I'm just letting you know the reality of it. This is so true. Anybody who's tried to fight an IP claim or a trademark claim or an infringement claim, same thing, I guess, but an authenticity claim, anybody who's tried to fight one of these, you'll know how frustrating it can be. Or an account suspension, you got to have a plan of action. There are some places that'll write those for you. My point being is, if you don't have any experience doing it, you're going to need somebody that does have experience, whether it's a lawyer or somebody who's extremely knowledgeable. So keep that in mind. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. You sell them as enough units, somebody somewhere is going to get you for something, and you're not going to have a clue why, but it's going to happen. So be ready for that. So anyway, let me get off harping on that because that's an absolute truth. Again, Amazon's a great opportunity. I'm grateful for it. I really wish they would go back to their roots in a sense that they would. I understand you can't address every complaint of a seller, but it is really, really tough to be a seller on Amazon. And the reason people put up with it is because 1 out of every 2 sales is on Amazon. They have to. If you're going to make money, Amazon's where it's at. And I want to be a part of Amazon. I want to help Amazon grow, but I want them to treat me and all the other sellers fairly. And I don't mean, again, I talked about disputes. I mean, treat people fairly. Give them a chance before you suspend their ASIN or before you suspend their account. Give them a chance to send it in and actually review their information. Don't just brush it off if they don't have an email correct. It's not right, and it shouldn't be that way. But It is the beast that is Amazon, and we're going to have to deal with it, because if not, you can go off and sell on Shopify, and which is, I'm going to also branch off and do that. But I want you guys to understand that you can be kicked off at any time, and it's going to cost a lot of money or somebody very knowledgeable to get you back up and running a lot of the times. So be warned. I'm warning you now. So anyway, let's talk about, so currently I do have a lawyer working on this. I really hope it gets worked out. I don't think there was any justification for it to begin with. If there was an issue with the item, I would have taken care of it. I always do. I always take care of the customer, the Amazon customer, because they're not your customers. They're Amazon's customers, and I understand that. But you have to be ready for anything. So let's talk about what you need to get done now in order to avoid this. So invoices. So you're buying from Alibaba, right? Maybe you're using a different email address. Maybe you're buying under your name, but your company name, like in my case, is on your Amazon account. Guess what? When they go look at that invoice, they're going to see your name. They're not going to see the company name. They're going to see your other email address. They're not going to see the email address you use for Amazon. Guess what that means? Your invoice is invalid. It doesn't count. They won't take it. Or you have to write up some kind of plan explaining it. That would be for a lawyer, because I don't understand how you would get around that, because this is how crazy and how detailed they can get. And this is what you should do. So right now, if you haven't ordered anything, or if you're ordering things currently, make sure your email address matches up with your Seller Central account. Make sure it's the same address. If it's under a business name, make sure you're buying that product under your business name. Under Alibaba, when you look at the contract and the trade assurance order, it should say the same thing that it says on your Amazon account. It's just going to make things go much smoother when this happens to you, I promise. So the quantities. Keep track of all the quantities you buy, because if you get a claim like I do, they're going to want 365 days of quantity. They want you to account for every bit of it. Now, it might be off a little bit, but they need to see that everything that's coming in has been from you and has been selling on there. So it needs to match up with the same numbers. So make sure you keep track of tracking numbers. I mean, make a list right now. I'm serious, because it's going to happen to you, and you're going to be, saying, man, why did I do this? Make sure the description of what you're buying and the UPC code or the EAN, make sure they match up with what you're buying off of the manufacturer. So what do I mean by that? Take your actual description off of your Amazon listing. Give that to your supplier and tell them this is exactly what I'm buying. I'm buying this UPC code. That way, when Amazon looks at your UPC or your EAN, they know, there it is. He's buying that specific thing. There's the description. It's the same one that's on Amazon. So I want you to consider that. I would just do the same exact when you have on Amazon, because that makes it very clear and cut. They're going to look for a description that matches what's on the Amazon account. And they're going to, if you put the EAN or the UPC, EANs for European ones, but you can use that for USA too. Make sure the UPC matches, because if it doesn't, they could just say, hey, I don't see a UPC. Too bad. Denied. Make sure the color's on there. So if you're buying green, make sure it's green. If it's a black item, make sure it says black item. I mean, put as much description in there. Make sure your supplier puts as much description on there as possible. Another thing, if there's a spot where you can write stuff in, make sure something's written in there by the supplier. Just put a little note in there, like this is for Amazon, this is for 5 black boxes, here's the description. Make sure that's filled out. So go in there right now, look at your invoices and see if it has this stuff. If all this stuff's not matching up like I'm saying, guess what? When it happens to you and you send in your information, denied. So how much you pay per unit, how much you pay for shipping, they say you can redact that, but it's my understanding that if you redact as in get rid of it, I wouldn't do that, because my understanding is you keep the pricing on. You're supposed to be able to keep that to yourself, but I understand that they'll deny you a lot of times if you get rid of it. So keep your pricing on there is what I've been told. Make sure, this is how detailed they can get. Make sure your fonts match up, okay, on the whole thing, so they can see you haven't altered anything. Any altering, then that's it. No pro forma contracts would be honored by Amazon. So if you see a pro forma, guess what? You can't use it. Make sure the dates are close from when you purchased it to when you shipped it to when Amazon received it. Make sure the dates all line up. If they don't, denied. So it's also my understanding that if you do retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, they do accept store receipts, at least from Walmart, Target, and Nordstrom. And I'm getting this off of a lawyer video, so I'm just passing this stuff on to you because I've done some research. But you have to, and another website I looked at, and you might want to look this up, you have to actually highlight certain parts of the receipt. If you don't make it like so clear cut for the person reading it, guess what? They're not going to look at it. Denied. So you have to know how to write a response. So what happens if this happens to you? Do not just go in and blindly write a response. You only get so many until it has to be escalated to a lawyer team, to a Bezos law team, and then to arbitration if it comes to that. So don't just jump on this. I'm telling you, take days. Don't panic. Take days and write a response properly. Ask somebody who knows, and if it's a very good product, you might just want to contact the lawyer from the get-go or somebody who really knows what they're doing, because Amazon will likely deny it because you won't know what to put in that response. It'll say what you should put in that response, but Amazon's definition of what's in that response and what yours is are completely different. I mean, it has to be so detailed. You don't cross an I, denied. You have to be extremely detailed and know what how to write it back. So I would get somebody who knows. You write a few of those, and they won't even respond to you anymore. So I hope this has been at least informational for you guys. Am I upset? Yes. But here's the reality of it. In the time I've had to think about it, the reality of it is it's Amazon's platform. It's Amazon's ballpark, man. You're just playing in it. Like I said, playground, whatever, you want to, however you want to say it. The bottom line is Amazon can do whatever they want, and whether it's fair or not, and many, many times it's not fair at all. It doesn't matter. They don't care that you've been in business for 20 years. They don't care that you have perfect customer service. They ultimately don't care. They will drop you because of one bad thing some customer did or said or competitor, which happens quite a bit. They will just drop you. And you know what? If you don't have somebody to protect you, to write the proper response, you're going to lose your account, you're going to lose your ASIN, you're going to lose your business. So point being is you cannot rely on Amazon for just to do your business, because if you don't have other avenues like Shopify or Walmart or I don't know. There's some eBay even. If you don't have those other avenues and something happens, you're going to be left out to dry. It can happen to you. It will happen. You have to be prepared for it. So, all right, guys. Lesson of the day: don't put your eggs in one basket. Be prepared. Do what you have to do to keep your account and keep it going. Amazon is a great opportunity in the end, but they're not going to. Amazon Seller Central and Amazon is not going to treat you fairly. But you signed up for it, and that's what you're going to get. If you don't like it, you can quit Amazon. I'm not quitting. I'm not happy about it, but I've got to do it. I've got to deal with it, and it's part of being an Amazon seller. But I know this is an eye-opener for me that I will start other avenues to make money, not just rely on Amazon, because it'd be foolish to do so. So hope you guys have a great night. Please like and subscribe. It'd really help me out. And let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about or if you have any questions, guys. Have a great night, and God bless.